Welcome, everyone. My name is Reba. I am the executive producer of the Mystery Box Show, and I will be your mistress of ceremonies this evening. You are at a storytelling live stream show. And what that means is we have an array of incredible storytellers for you this evening who will be sharing true, personal stories from their lives all about sex. Now we have Eric down here. I want to wave hi.
Hello.
Who's on tech, and we have Nicole who will be moderating the chat, so feel free to say hi to Nicole and each other. We would love to know where you are tuning in from tonight. Let us know in the chat. We love seeing and hearing where everyone is coming from all around the world. We also have everyone backstage, all the storytellers backstage. If you want to wave hi to everyone, they're so excited to share their stories with you. So we are so excited for tonight. Let's see, I know we've got some folks tuning in from Australia. We've got some right here in Portland, I guess I should say. We are here in home base in Portland, Oregon. The storytellers are from all over the United States. We've got from South Dakota. Welcome, South Dakota. And Detroit is in the house. We've got Ohio. Greetings from 18 hours in the future. Melbourne. I always say Melbourne. Melbourne, Australia. Michigan, Maryland. Holy cow. Ottawa, Canada, Florida, Western Washington, from all over. This is so exciting. Continue to let us know as this goes on. So we are so excited for tonight's show, which happens to be the last show of 2020. But don't worry, or I should say it's the last storytelling show of 2020, but we're going to be checking in the next couple months with a different kind of live stream. So stay tuned for that. And you can find all the information on that on our website at mysteryboxshow.com and all of our social media outlets. So be sure to stay tuned for that info. Not only do we have fantastic storytellers for you tonight, but we will also have a virtual after party that we hope you'll stay tuned for. That's where you get to talk to the storytellers through the chat. And get to just kind of talk to each other about the stories that you've seen and heard. We'll also have an opportunity for you to share some sexy secrets of your own, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show. And I also want to just give a little disclaimer, if you will. We know that when it comes to the topic of sex, that some subjects are more sensitive than others. So please consider this a blanket trigger warning and take care of yourselves in any way that you see fit. But we are certainly glad that you are joining us here tonight. So to start this evening, to get this party started, I would like to share a story of my own that has been on my mind as of late. I was on the phone with my sister, and she just says to me in this matter-of-fact tone, "Oh, it's easy. All you have to do is have sex." And so I turn to my husband at the time, Joe, and I say, "Joe, my sister says it's easy. All we have to do is have sex." And this look of horror washes over Joe's face. And he says, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Because I am 25 years old, 9.5 months pregnant, and several days past my due date. And I have sort of turned into what I can only describe as a female version of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, meaning I'm still super cute, but just enormous. Like, I could crush New York City no problem. And I was very, very angry because at this point in my pregnancy, I felt like a host to a parasite that was sucking the life out of me. I know that sounds really bad. I promise you I'm a really good mom. This is just how I felt at the time. Now, it was really important to me that my parents fly out from Colorado for the birth of my son. This was the end of November, 2004. My parents were going to fly out on the 22nd. My due date was the 23rd, and Thanksgiving was a few days later, so I was like, we couldn't have timed this more perfectly. So my parents arrive on the 22nd, and then the 23rd comes, and I'm like, all right, it's baby time. But there was no baby. And my mom was like, oh, don't worry about it. Babies hardly ever arrive on their due date, plus we have plenty of time. And by plenty of time, she meant they had a total of 7 days, because my dad only had a week's vacation before he had to fly home. My mom had 10 days, so she had 3 extra days. But on top of it, my doctor had told me that after 10 days past my due date, they would have to induce labor with drugs. Now, 41-year-old me would be totally fine with this. 25-year-old me was kind of dogmatic about certain things, and a drug-induced labor was one of them. I thought that if I had labor-induced, that I was somehow a bad mom already, like I had failed at childbirth. I know now that that's ridiculous, but this is just how I felt at the time. Please understand, I'm not drug shaming. This is just me at the time. So I'm racing against the clock. I want my parents to be there, and I don't want labor to be induced. So a couple more days go by, and already it's Thanksgiving. And everyone at the Thanksgiving table is like, hey, don't sweat it. Like, all this food you're gonna eat tonight is just gonna push that baby right out. I don't know where the logic is in that, but I swear to you, I heard that from more than one person. And I was like, okay, like, I've never done this before. I'll trust you. So bring on the mashed potatoes. I just got indigestion, but no baby. So the next day, my dad flies home, and I'm devastated. And we have 3 more days until my mom is going to fly home and until they're going to induce labor with drugs. So I start doing more research. And back then there wasn't a whole lot of interneting going on. So I did little internet research, but mostly I just talked to people. And the thing that kept coming up is walk. Everyone said, walk, walk, walk. You have to walk that baby out. And I was like, okay, but understand, my ankles were swollen to the size of tree trunks, and it was painful to walk. But I was like, I'll do anything. I'll walk, walk, walk. And that didn't do anything. People suggested to me that I eat spicy foods because that would give the baby a little kick, a little nudge out the door. But as I said, I had such bad indigestion while pregnant that just really wasn't a viable option. I did things like drink castor oil because the internet said. I had people sitting around my belly, like story time, trying to coax the baby out, saying things like, we can't wait to meet you. Come into the beautiful world. It's okay. There's nothing to be scared of. But nothing was working. And this is when I had the idea to call my sister, because she had 2 kids, and it had never occurred to me to ask her how she went into labor. And that's when she says, it's easy. You just gotta fuck. Now, as I mentioned, Joe was hesitant, and he actually said to me, what if my penis pokes the baby's head? I understand, like, that's a reasonable question to ask, I guess, if you've never done this before. But just like real quick segue, PSA, no matter what size a penis is, it would have to be like double to triple that size to reach up the birth canal and poke a baby. So that is okay. But also, Joe was just scared because it had been like 2 or 3 months since we had had sex at this point, mainly because my body was so different than it used to be that neither one of us really understood how to navigate it. But Joe said, yes, we could do this. Mainly, I think, because I said to him, listen, Joe, you helped put this baby in me, and you're going to help get this baby out tonight. And I think he was just too scared to say no. But honestly, he wanted his wife back because I was horrible. So I said, here's what's going to happen. We are going to march up those stairs after Mom falls asleep. And we are going to go into that bedroom and we are going to do it until this baby comes out. So this was like mid-afternoon and we had several hours to wait until the evening till Mom fell asleep. So I was like, okay, I'm not really feeling it, I'm not really feeling myself. Not very sexy right now. What am I going to do to get in the mood? And I thought, I know, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm going to take these tree trunks on a walk and I'm going to listen to some audio erotica to help set the tone. I wish I could remember what it was I listened to. Knowing me, it was probably something medieval. But I do remember listening to the erotica and sort of like waddling down my neighborhood with my belly in tow, being like, yeah, that's right, bitches, I'm sexy. So finally, like, evening rolls around and I'm ready to go. And I like hoist myself up the stairs as fast as I can. I think Mom has gone to sleep. Joe's trailing behind me and like, all right, Joe, it is on. And again, he's like, are you sure? Because I just don't even understand how this is going to happen. And I was like, I don't know, but it's happening. And I'm like throwing my clothes off and already I'm like winded and sweaty. Whew. And Joe says, I know. Why don't you get onto all 4s and then I'll enter you from behind? Because I think he thought that this was probably the safest option for him. But I said, Joe, look at me. This belly is an anchor. If I go down, I am not coming back up. Here's what's going to happen. You are going to lie down on your back and I am going to cowgirl this situation. So Joe does as he is told, and he gets down onto his back, and I climb up onto the bed, Stay Puft Marshmallow style, and I'm like, okay, but you gotta help me. This is like awkward, and awkward, that's like the best way to describe it, but Joe helps me mount him. He somehow is hard, by the way. I don't know if he just likes being told what to do, or if he's been listening to his own secret medieval erotica, I'm not sure. But we're trying to maneuver, and I'm like, I can't really feel what's going on down there. And I was like, Joe, are you in? And he can't really feel what's going on either. And he was like, I think, like, honest, we really couldn't tell what was happening. But when we think that we're in and it's time to go. And I wish that I could tell you that I had some pretty sweet cowgirl moves. But really, it was more like I was riding a mechanical bull. Only I was both the rider and the bull. I was just like flailing slowly and heavily around, and we're like talking over each other, and he's like, is this are you enjoying this? Is it okay? Like, he doesn't know, and I don't know. And then we hear my mom get up down the hallway and we freeze. And I'm like, oh God, Joe, you know my mom can hear everything that's going on right now. Like, she knows we're fucking, which was mortifying, but I was like, what are you gonna do? Like, I gotta get this baby out of me. It's just a bad situation for everyone involved. And then we hear my mom go back to her room, and I say, Joe, I never asked my sister, what is it about sex that induces pregnancy? So, like, have we accomplished the mission? Like, we technically have had sex. Are we done? Did we do it? And Joe's like, oh God, please, yes, we're done. Can we be done? And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, that was awful. Let's be done. But while I'm up here, I may as well enjoy an orgasm. And Joe's eyes just get like wide. He just wants this to be done. And I was like, no, it's cool. You just relax. You just take a little nap. You just close your eyes. I'll take care of myself. And I just reach down. I'm still, like, he's still in me, but that doesn't really matter. I just rub my clit until I come, which was fast. Like, I don't know, hormones, whatever was happening, it worked out for me. And I felt like I had earned that. And I just flop over next to Joe, and I fall asleep instantly because I'm exhausted. And the next morning, just before noon, I go into labor. Like magic, like sex magic. And 17 hours later, I gave birth to the most perfect little angel baby. And my mom was there just for one day, but that was enough. They didn't have to induce labor, which again would have been totally fine, but that's how I wanted it to go at the time. And all was well in the world. But I wish that I would have known then what I know now, which is that it's not intercourse at all that induces labor. It's oxytocin, which is released during orgasm. So essentially, we could have avoided the worst sex Joe and I had ever had together, the worst sex my mom ever had to listen to, if I had just had one of these. So this is the Fun Factory Sundays, and I'll be talking more about this later on in the show. But for now, we're gonna keep the stories right on rolling. If you have sex and pregnancy stories, by the way, let me know in the comments, and then and we'll talk more about it at the after party. And speaking of the after party, if you stick around for that, I actually found some pregnancy photos today from that Thanksgiving. So I have photo evidence if you want to see it at the after party. But I can't wait for you to hear this next storyteller. She is joining us. I gotta look at my notes because I can never pronounce this correctly. She's joining us from Nanaimo. I did it. British Columbia, all the way in Canada. She is a retired falconer, and she's sorry. Eric's writing me notes and I'm reading them. It's like we're in class. Let me start over. Nanaimo, Canada. She is a retired falconer who lives at home with her husband and her son and her goats and her hawk. And she has a really touching, wonderful story for you tonight. So please welcome to the stage, Tina Hine.
I was sitting on my front porch. I was kneeling, and I was kneeling on a nice blanket because it was cement, and I was kneeling between my husband and our best friend. I was wearing this really cute top that was down from the shoulders, and it looked like a slutty pirate costume because it was. And I just I was really thrilled, and I was enjoying myself. And then suddenly I heard a car. And we live out in the country in Nanaimo, and when cars are coming towards our place, oftentimes it means they're coming to our place. And I figured that if someone was coming to our place, I'd probably be okay explaining like why I was kneeling between these two men drinking beer, but I might have difficulty explaining the collar and the leash and the 3-foot foxtail coming out of my ass. So how did I get here? The first time I saw my husband, I was 15 years old and we were in high school. And we've been together ever since. And essentially, we've had an open relationship since the very beginning, almost the very beginning. A lot of people close to me know this, but not everybody does. So, hi, Mom. What is our open relationships are kind of confusing for a lot of people. There's so many definitions. Ours, I like to compare it to golf. Everybody has their hobbies, right? Some people love golf, and you can golf by yourself. You can practice your swing and go and do a round if you like, and of course you can golf with your partner. That's fantastic. I love that. But you can also golf with lots of other people, and it can be really, really fun. So, moving ahead, we are living our best life. We're having a really great time, and we're about ready to have kids. And I'm not sure why, but I had this belief, I had this idea that it was really important for us to close our marriage, not have it open anymore. I don't know if I just wanted stability. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't enjoying myself as much anymore. I don't know. But it was important to me that we closed our relationship. We were no longer open. Now, for a period of time, my husband would sometimes ask after our son was born. He would say, wouldn't it be fun if we did that thing again? We go golfing again. And I just knew I just wasn't in a really good place. I was a new mom and living a life and working part-time, and there was just a lot going on, and I was too stressed out, and opening your marriage can make it or break it for the better. And I just knew I couldn't right now. And he asked me again, and he asked me like several years later, and I was just so tired of him asking. I just said, look, no, it's never going to happen again. No. So one day I walk into my office, this office actually right here, the one at the home office where I share a computer with my husband, and I want to check my email. And so I booted up the PC and I went into Yahoo, and there was this weird email address in the username bar. And I was like, what is this? What is this? I knew he was keeping a secret from me. So immediately I knew what it was. I tried to explain it away. Maybe my nephews had tried to check their email. I didn't know my son was too young. It wasn't him. But I knew what it was. And when my husband got home, I confronted him. I was furious. Furious. I said to him, get out. That's it. Get out. We'd had this open relationship. How dare he? How dare he go behind my back? How dare he? And I know it was closed, and I know he was lonely living with me. Ugh. I was also kind of humiliated because not even a month before, a girlfriend of mine had like the same thing happen. And she said to me, Tina, this would never happen to you and Jeff. You guys have such a great relationship. This could never happen to you, like a month before. And I believed her. The secret email did two things for me. It helped my husband to release some pressure. He was lonely. I was not in a good place. And he was looking for connection with people, and he was just chatting. The other thing it did was it was a catalyst. I didn't realize how stuck we were. And even though I felt like we were in a really great place, especially when I would talk to all my friends, I was just really surprised. But within about 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, I don't know how I did it. I was just able to just completely recommit and choose my husband and choose us. And we'd been together for more than 20 years at this point, and I wasn't ready to give up. And so we started this journey. But we had no idea what we were doing. Like, how do you reconnect like this? Who does this? So we didn't know. But now what? Now what do we do? Well, days later, maybe a week, I walk into my kitchen and Jeff says to me, hey, I found this book and I think it could help our marriage. And I was like, fantastic. Oh, this is great. Oh, wonderful. He wanted me to check it out because he's not a big reader and he didn't want to waste his time reading a book that if it wasn't really going to help. And so he asked me to check it out, look at reviews and stuff like that. So I did. And The title of the book, though, the title of the book was How to Turn Your Wife into a Nymphomaniac. And I was like, what the fuck? This is how you want to fix our marriage? Oh, my eyes rolled so hard I could see my brain. But I had committed and I believed in us. And so I checked this book out, and How to Turn Your Wife into a Nymphomaniac was as a book from a website called Married and Happy. And when I looked at the reviews, they were like, it wasn't gross. It wasn't like, oh my God, we fuck all the time now. My wife is my sex slave. It wasn't anything like that. It was, the reviews were lovely. They were, I've never been so in love before. My wife is so happy. We're so happy together. So I was like, all right, let's try it. But I did know, there was on the website, it's called A System for Men. And so I knew I wasn't supposed to read it. And I'm really glad that I didn't read the book, and I still haven't. So we're out for a walk one day. We start to get these strategies. We're starting to come together, and we're starting to reconnect, and we're walking on this beautiful trail. And I notice that I'm chattering. I'm really happy. That's weird. But I continue chattering, and I'm looking at him, and he's got this little smile on his face. I'm kind of suspicious, to be honest, because it's been a rough little while, and what's this smile about? And is he laughing at me? Like, what's going on? And I ask him, like, what's going on? Why are you smiling? It's nothing, it's no big deal. A couple minutes later, I realized he's using the book. I think he's using the book, techniques from the book. And I don't know what triggered it, but what made me think that. But I did know that I was really feeling connected with him. I was feeling like I was heard, and if I look back, I feel like maybe what I was feeling was the very beginning of turn on. Being hot for my husband again. And that was really great. I'd been working like the great thing about this moment on this trail was that I finally really felt heard, and I felt really safe and held. And I think that was a trigger for me to be able to just kind of like dive into myself and take care of myself. I had been working on my physical health, but I didn't realize how much my mental health was suffering, how until I started learning about self-care and boundaries and basic communication with partner. Wow. Flash forward a little bit. We've got some new hobbies now. We love BDSM, we love role play, we love all kinds of play. We have a lot of sex. We took up tantra. That oh my gosh, that took us from the mini golf course to the PGA tour, and we reopened our marriage. People started to notice. We completely changed. We basically fell in love together. I am not just my husband's wife, now I'm his girlfriend, his hot, slutty girlfriend. And sometimes people would ask me, like, hey, what's your secret? What's your story? What's going on? And I would say, well, there's this book. It's called How to Turn Your Wife into a Nymphomaniac. But don't worry, you don't actually become a nymphomaniac. Though lately, I'm not so sure. I'm monitoring myself for my nymphomaniacal tendencies. The car didn't come down the driveway that day. I repositioned myself. I got my hair. I fixed my tail. I sat back down. I got that hand patting my hair again. And I have a grin on my face like a Cheshire cat in heat. I'm so happy. And I know that our marriage isn't like Disney princess material. I know that. I get it. But I believe that now Jeff and I have the tools to actually live happily ever after.
That was Tina Hine, everyone. Love that story. It's like sexy and sweet at the same time. Two of my favorite things. Is everyone like, where's this? Where do I get this book? Does anyone, where can I find it? No promises, but maybe we'll try to find a link to the book and put it in the description for the replay. Is that a thing, Eric?
See if we can do it.
All right, we'll see if we can do that. If you want to be even more engaged with the Mystery Box Show, we have a Patreon account, and that is at patreon.com/mysteryboxshow, where you can join for as little as $3 a month. I mentioned before, we're not doing another storytelling show until next year, and we'll be coming right back at you on Valentine's Day 2021, and that will be a ticketed show, but everybody who is a patron through Patreon, no matter what level you're at, will get into the show for free as a token of our appreciation for your support. Other ways you can support the show is to subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you're aware of all the new videos that are coming out when we have those up and running. Follow us on our social media outlets on Facebook and Instagram. Our website is at mysteryboxshow.com, and all of that information is on the website. Tell people about the show. Let them know about the stories that you heard, and if you're feeling so inclined, pitch a story to us yourself. There's instructions on how to do that at our website. There's also a really helpful informational video on this YouTube channel for how to pitch your stories to the Mystery Box Show. We would love to hear from you. And of course, tuning in here tonight is a huge support. So thank you so much for being here. As a token of our appreciation, we are going to do 2 giveaways. As I mentioned earlier, I was going to tell you a little bit more about this Fun Factory Sundays. This is a brand new toy from Fun Factory. I love everything about Fun Factory. I think I say this every time. They're made in Germany, and I love most things German. This here, just right off the bat, it's made from hypoallergenic materials, fully submergible in water. It has one of those magnetic chargers, so it's rechargeable. Amazing. But the reason that Sundays is so cool, so it's, you know, a vibrating dildo for any gender, and I'll get to that in a moment, but it has 11 different settings. And I don't know how well you can see this. It's a pulsator. I think you can see that pretty well on the screen. Let me know in the chat if you can see that. This thing's like a jackhammer, if you want it to be. It also has other like vibrating stages and pulsating stages, but it's really nice in that this tip here is smooth on the skin, so it's nice for nipple play. All the parts play. So we will be giving away one of these in a basket with some Missionary chocolates. Missionary is my favorite chocolatier. Run by a naturopathic doctor. They're vegan and gluten-free, and the most delicious chocolates I have ever had. So chocolates and sex toys, what could be better? And additionally, for all of you, if you hop onto the Fun Factory website, which is funfactoryusa.com, and use code MYSTERYBOX, it's right here on the screen. Code MYSTERYBOX gets you 20% off, I think, anything on their website. I'm pretty sure. Anything on their website, so code MYSTERYBOX. The second thing we're going to be giving away is another basket full of Missionary chocolates, in addition to this CLONE-A-WILLY kit. If you haven't heard of CLONE-A-WILLY, it's exactly what it sounds like. You can clone your favorite penis, or whatever penis is available, if it's not your favorite. And it's this is a vibrating dildo kit, but it's of a clone of your penis, and it glows in the dark. If this isn't the perfect activity for quarantine, then I don't know what is. Additionally, with this, we'll be giving away a 1-hour Q&A session with Dirty Lola, one of our favorite sex educators who runs Sex Ed A Go-Go. She is a wealth of knowledge and just an amazing person. So she's doing an hour session for somebody who wins. Now, how do you win one of these baskets, you may be asking yourselves? Well, Eric is going to take the stage and tell you a little story and explain how.
Well, hello everybody. It's been a while since we've seen each other. And I wanted to tell you that one time, a bit a while ago, I was getting a blowjob. I was in receivership of a blowjob. This wasn't an ordinary blowjob for me. I can't speak for anybody else's experience, as you'll hear, because this blowjob felt very, very suctiony, and more than I was used to. Like it was rough, but I powered through. Everything was fine. But afterwards, I looked down at my penis head, in particular, and I saw that there were now these little purple spots on it, like it had turned into like a Dr. Seuss character or something. I was surprised. I'd never seen this before, and I guess I hadn't like examined my penis too much earlier, so I didn't know if these dots were new. And I must have had some kind of concerned look on my face because the woman who had just been going down on me, she looked at my face and asked, "Are you okay? What's going on? Are you all right?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm okay, but I have these dots on my penis, and I mean I don't know what they are." I was concerned, like, are they contagious? Could I possibly transmit them to somebody, to you? And she said, "Those are from the blowjob. They're burst blood vessels, like when you get a hickey. You've never seen them before?" And I was like, "No, I have never seen them before, because in my personal experience, those are not the result of any blowjob that I had ever received." Now, I want to be very clear. I'm speaking for myself, and I don't know who you are. If you're listening, if you give blowjobs that result in purple spots, or if you enjoy the purple spot appearance and that's a signifier of a good blowjob to you, more power to you. But to me, I was afraid, just like right now when our cat sneezed and scared the life out of me. I don't know what that was. Anyway, you might be asking yourselves, why am I telling you all about my purple spotted blowjob experience? It does sound like a Dr. Seuss story.
Your purple penis maker?
Yeah.
Purple penis. I want to say purple penis eater.
No. Well, here's why I'm telling this to you tonight. Because we want to hear about your awkward or hilarious sexual mishap. And we are asking you to text these into us during intermission, which is about to happen. We're going to take about a 7-minute intermission. And you can confess your little your mishaps to us, and we're going to choose at random from the people who text in to win the prizes that Reba was talking about. We're going to announce those after the show at our virtual after party. But you don't even have to wait to know what people are texting in, because during the second half of our show, we're going to be reading some of them out loud. Or actually, Reba's going to be reading some of them out loud. They're all anonymous. The number we've set up is through Google Voice. We don't know who's texting, so no need to worry about that. Let us know your sexual awkward or hilarious mishap, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Did I cover everything?
Lucky number 7.
All right, we'll see you then, everybody.
Welcome back, everyone. We have got a lot of really good confessions. Thank you for sending those in. I'm about to read a few, but please keep sending them in throughout the duration of the show at that number listed below. If you don't hear your confession read tonight, you might hear it read during our confession corner videos that we put out between shows. So keep those coming in. And as a reminder, Eric is going to be choosing at totally random winners at the after party. Also, if you sent in a confession early before the show, there was an opportunity to do that. There's a video explaining that on this YouTube channel. That's considered in this mix as well. So thank you for that. All right, I'm going to start off by reading this confession, which is also a blowjob confession. There's a theme tonight. Sex injury story. I was giving a blowjob to my partner, and my barbell tongue piercing slipped into and immediately out of his urethra. Ow, that's like a tiny, tiny hole. It's like a tiny hole. I don't even have, it's a tiny hole. Okay, this was completely unintentional and a shock for all involved. I always took my tongue piercing out to give him head after that incident. I mean, that's just good manners. Am I right? Sorry, I'm referencing Eric and you can't see him, but okay, here's one. I was on a fun threesome weekend at a beach rental getting down and dirty on the dining room floor. My head got bumped against the base of a bookshelf, not even very hard. Afterwards, I started to feel off balance and dizzy. I didn't think much of it, teased him that he fucked me dizzy, but it persisted. I was a FedEx driver at the time, had to call in sick and get a doctor's note via the ER. Turns out that little bump triggered a vertigo episode that caused me to miss 2 days of work and a big medical bill. Oh, no regrets. Damn good weekend. Purple heart, purple heart, purple heart. Oh, purple like hickeys? Or purple heart. Is that in the military? You get a purple heart if you... Is there injury involved? I'm messing that up. Okay. Eric just gave me like the stink eye. Let's see. One time after a partner and I just finished having really great sex and we're cuddling together naked, my dog jumped on the bed, sat next to my partner, and then just slowly put her paw on their penis, maintaining eye contact. My partner panicked and looked at me sputtering, "Dog, dog, move the dog." Oh my gosh, I feel like we should do a whole confession around... No, we shouldn't. I was going to say around sex and animals. No, we shouldn't. Scratch that. Okay, folks, I'm going to read some more confessions after this next storyteller, but we're super excited for you to hear this next story. I also want to give a quick shout out to our live stream sponsor, Shebop. They've been our longest standing sponsor for 8 years now. They are a female-friendly sex boutique here in Portland, and they are still streaming classes. They have amazing classes and they are streaming them online. So anywhere in the world you can take these classes. Coming up, they're doing classes on dirty texting, on edging, and this one I've never heard of before, sex for people with a more sensitive nervous system, which is really cool. They just offer such a wide variety and they're so inclusive. And there's a link to their website on the screen right now. So without further ado, this next storyteller for you saw our video on YouTube about pitching a story and was like, I got a story. I want to share that story. And we were like, yeah, you got a story. Let's hear it. She's just fantastic. She's joining us from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Please welcome Regina Aikens.
About a year ago, I was at the laundromat with my girlfriend, Christy. And I made myself comfortable up on top of one of the long laundry tables. And I was dumping all my frustrations about my life onto her while she's doing laundry for a friend of hers that she offered to help. I didn't realize that I guess I had zoned off when I was hit with a hot, piping, steaming load of laundry. And it took me by surprise. I was startled and I was pulling these clothes down off my head. Christy's laughing and she asked me, where did you go right then? I noticed that there was some G-strings in all these men's clothing that I was covered with. But I started instead to tell her, you know, about my big realization I just had, that my life isn't going anywhere because I'm not making decisions to make it go anywhere different than where it's at. And from this moment, I am going to consciously make decisions from trying everything at least once. And she looks at me, she's like, really? And I'm like confident in my decision. And I'm like, yes, really. And she says, or I look over and I see the G strings and I pick them up and I'm like, okay, whose girlfriend forgot their panties? And she starts laughing. She says, nobody. She says, those are my friend Sean's and he wears them. And then she says, just as soon as I'm done here, I've got to deliver these clothes to his house. Would you want to follow me over there? And so I look at her and I'm like, well, you know, considering I've never met a man who wears G-strings that I'm aware of, I can't say no now, can I? And she starts laughing and we finish folding up the clothes and we load them all in the car. And so I follow her over to her friend Sean's and I help her take the clothes in. And she introduces us briefly for a few minutes. And I leave and I go home. You know, later on that night, I'm laying in bed and about to go to sleep, and I get a text message from an unknown number. And I open the text, and it says, "Hey, this is Sean. I was wondering if you might want to come over and let's get naked and play around." And I'm like, who does he think he is texting me this? And I'm getting offended by the way I'm not talked to him, but just briefly, and he's going to talk to me like this. But before I could text him back, just what I thought, I got another text, and it said, "I told Christy earlier today that I wanted to fuck you. I don't know if she got in touch with you and told you or not. I hope I haven't offended you." And that made up for it. I was like, oh. But then it hit me and I start welling up with tears. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody wants to fuck me. And, you know, after the year I had of nothing in my life, this was, you know, something that I was like very emotional about, you know. And so I text him back and I tell him, you know, I'm insecure with my body. I'm not really comfortable with sex. All I've had was married sex. And in my experience, it was 3 to 5 minutes. And my, you know, I didn't get a chance to really enjoy it. And he comes back from my response and he's like, well, I hate to hear that. I'd be more than happy to help you work through that. If you want to come over. And so I'm like, really, you would show me how to be more confident in my sex and, you know, experiences that I haven't had. And he's like, sure. And I said, well, it's really late tonight. So how about I come tomorrow? And we, you know, agree. And I show up the next day and I've dressed up really nice. And he's dressed up. So I'm thinking, well, maybe we're going to go to dinner or something first. And he says, you know, just straight out, well, if we're going to do this right, we're going to need some supplies. So we need to go run up to the toy store, if you don't mind. And I'm like, okay, well, so much for wine me and dine me first, but here we go. So we jump in the car and we're headed up to the toy store. And he asked me this question. He said, if you could have any size penis, out of all the penises, what size penis would you have if you were a man? Well, I had never been asked that kind of question or even looked at that as an option. So I didn't know what to say. And my response was, I wear a size 11 shoe, which, you know, silly, but I was nervous. And so going into the toy store when we get here, and you pick out whatever penis you want in the store. That, you know, if you were a man, that's what you would be endowed with. Pick out anyone that you want, we'll get you a harness and you can strap it on and you can fuck me. And I was like, you know, confused. This wasn't something that, you know, I'd ever been asked to do before. Would I be interested? I don't know. I'm hearing my mother over here with her opinion and my grandmother over here with her opinion. And then Christy's face pops up and she's like, really? Which reminded me of my big decision to try everything at least once. So I was like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's do it. So we get to the toy store and I go in and, you know, the size 11s are like freaking huge. And I'm like, okay, so technically that's a size 9 in men. And we move down a section and I pick it out and we get back to his, we get back in the car, I'm sorry, and we start heading back to his place. And, you know, I asked him, so, you know, what is this all about? And he tells me about back when he was younger and picking up chicks that he would always ask for, you know, anal sex from them. And this one girl one night was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, but you first. And I was thinking to myself, I really like this chick. But he said that she had, you know, all the equipment and everything, and she taught him something different. And, you know, it changed his life. And he thinks that women in strap-ons, you can't find anything sexier, you know. And so I'm like taking his word for it, listening to his story. And we get back to his place. And I go in the bathroom to put it all together and put it on. And so I get my phone out and I start taking pictures of it. I'm holding it up, taking pictures of it. And I send the pictures to my friend Christy. And I'm like, look what you've gotten me into. And she takes me back. How did I get you into that? You know? And I'm like, oh, whatever. And anyway, I asked her, you know, are you coming by here later on? And she's like, probably no. And she's like, just text me how it goes tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And so, you know, I had to leave the bathroom sometime, and I was nervous and not feeling real sure of myself, but I go out of the bathroom and I walk past this mirror as I'm going into Sean's bedroom. And I look up and I see Sean laid out on the bed and he's got on his G-strings and he's looking sexy. And then I get a glimpse of myself in this mirror. And I take a couple steps back and I'm looking in the mirror and all of a sudden I just like, I don't know, my shoulders raised up and I was like, wow, I am sexy. And so, you know, it's like an alter ego came out. And I go over and I look up and Sean's got like a projector screen on the wall of his bedroom and he's got porn playing up on the wall. And so he said, you know, this is what pegging is. And we watched some videos and so that I could kind of get an idea of what we were about to do. And he gives me the lube and I put the lube on the penis and I'm watching the instructional porn, I guess, of pegging on the wall. And Sean starts laughing. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? And he's like, you're natural. Look at you. And you're sitting there stroking your dick. And I was watching the porn, not even realizing I was doing it. And, you know, so that broke the ice quite a bit. And then we decided to go ahead and start, you know, getting the hang of it and everything. And he's like, now you got to go slow. And when I guess my idea slow and his idea slow were at the same level, and I went a little too fast, and he was very, very gentle and patient because I put him through so much. So we had to recover from that just a little bit, and then and then I decided I was going to be sexy with it and smack him on the ass a few times. and hit him in the balls. And yeah, that was another moment that we had to rejuvenate from. And then, but through this, I'm just laughing and having a good time, and I'm not self-conscious about my body. I feel like a totally different person. And so then I get it in perfect, and it's starting to feel good, and I'm getting the moves going. And all of a sudden I look up, and I guess it was going so good. He starts like, looks like he's going into shock, and I'm thinking, oh no, jump off and go to help him. And I wasn't supposed to do that because he was having an orgasm, and I didn't know that. And anyway, I messed up for him. It was really good, they said, but this experience was a life changer for me. I had found a part of my personality that I never would have found if Sean hadn't have taken the time to work with me, and through his confidence in his sexuality and the experiences that he enjoys, it's made me more confident in who I am. And, I'm ready to try something new all the time now. But through that decision that I made to consciously decide to make or to try everything at least once, I was able to just be more confident in myself. And I don't know, it's the feeling that you get whenever you feel good about your body and about yourself in a way that you used to, be scared and nervous. It's life changing. And, since then, or at that time, I stayed 3 weeks, and that was for one whole time. So, and I got plans for later in the night. So it's been a great thing.
That was Regina Aikens, everyone. So exciting that you have plans tonight, Regina. What a sweet story. I hope you get to read the comments later in the chat, Regina, because people were saying very sweet and sexy things about you. In the interim, we have got more confessions that keep coming in. As a reminder, keep texting in those confessions throughout the rest of the night. Also, if you feel so inclined, text in selfies of yourself watching the show. That's always fun as well. I'm going to read this one. As a reminder, the winners of those baskets get chosen at random. So it's not based on your content. It's just random. But this one I especially enjoy. I was making out with someone at a festival. The mosquitoes were really bad that year, and we had both been using bug spray. Some neck kissing led to me picking up bug spray in my mouth and beard. It was an immediate showstopper. Both our mouths went numb, and we couldn't get the taste out for the rest of the night. Has this ever happened to, okay, that specific incident has never happened to me before, but I have gotten bug spray in my mouth before. It's on my top 5 worst things ever. Like, I'm feeling this person's pain. Okay, sexual, oops. My girlfriend and I decided that it would be sexy to paint each other's naked bodies with tempera paint for artsy sex play. We painted sweet designs on each other's bodies and rubbed them around. It was all fun. Then we decided to wash off. The paint all ran down and clumped up in our pubic hair. I didn't read this all the way through until just now. We ended up having to shave it to get it off of us. And all over the bathroom and walls were the colored streaks, evidence of our great idea. I love this so much. I feel like if I didn't know better, I would say that that was me and my ideas. Okay, let's do, sorry, there's so many here. It's hard to choose at random. As a reminder, if we don't read your confession here tonight, check out our next confession corner video, which will be up in a few days or a week or something to that effect. And it will probably be read there. Okay, one more. One of my male partners fucked me. Oh no. Sorry, that was from last time. The very first time I ever had sex, I was riding him. I repositioned my hand and accidentally caught his nipple ring along the way. There was a lot of blood. Oh no. He grimaced and couldn't speak, and I was horrified. Turns out he was something of a masochist. So that like really worked out for him. All right, keep those confessions coming. We have one more storyteller for you this evening. She is coming to us from Detroit, Michigan. She is a first-time author of a book entitled To All the Places That I've Had Sex Before. Please welcome the last storyteller this evening, LAUX the author.
It was a late spring night when I welcomed Dreads into my room. We had been in a situationship for years, and he had come to New York from Michigan just to see me. That night, our sex was explosive, as it always had been. I mean, a little bit of choking, a little bit of hair pulling, and lots of orgasms. I woke up the next morning in my twin-size bed in bliss. Short-lived bliss, because soon after I woke, I realized that I was in pain. And some of y'all know that type of pain that I'm talking about, that feeling like you've been kicked in the stomach, or like your uterus is attacking every internal organ in your body. That feeling. I just started my period. He woke up shortly after I did and began rubbing his hands up and down my body. I could feel the excitement starting to rise, and for the record, period sex is the best kind of sex, the absolute best kind of sex. But the first day of my period, there's nothing worse that I can think of. I sighed and I rolled away from him. What? He asked me. I don't feel like it. What do you mean you don't feel like it? I don't want to have sex with you. Well, then why did I even come here? This was the beginning of the biggest man fit I'd ever witnessed. I'm thinking to myself, like, do you mean to tell me after this entire night of having this incredible sex that you're upset because I said no once? Like, am I not allowed to deny you sex once? Eventually, he did leave. And that was the last that I ever spoke to him. In the moment, my emotions were in a bit of a frenzy. I was really confused because we had just had some of the best sex that we've ever had. I was also hurt because, yes, we had been fucking for years, but also we were friends. But most of all, I felt anger. Anger that he would treat me like I was a sex toy that had to wait on his beck and call because he wanted to have sex. All of these emotions came from saying no. But I knew deep down inside of me that it didn't have to be this way. In elementary school, I was a latchkey kid. Both of my parents worked until really late, and so I was in latchkey. And every afternoon after school, the girls would get together and build these humongous forts out of those blue gymnastic mats. So some of them would be really big, some would have a hallway, some would have multiple rooms. But I guess it doesn't really matter the shape or the size or whatever, because they really only served one purpose. And that was to do things we were not supposed to be doing. Me and the girls would go into the play forts and touch each other. We would explore each other's bodies and learn the sensations of touch. One day, there was a girl who was not a latchkey kid who decided to come to latchkey that day, or her parent was working later, whatever. So me, of course, being the awesome leader that I am, decided to step up and say, okay, well, you're new here. This is what we do. And I invited her into the fort. We're maybe about 30 seconds in and she pushes me away. I don't like this. Oh, okay. And I walked away from her and continued about my business with someone else. That simple no was all it took from her. I'd accepted that that was not something that she wanted to do. And I just left. And so I knew somewhere deep down inside of me that not all no's resulted in tantrums like the tantrum that Dreads had thrown back in New York. Several years later, after the Dreads incident, I found myself at a WeWork Christmas party, drunk off my ass. He was wearing a hat indoors, a fedora specifically. And I felt that I needed to walk over him and let him know how pretentious I thought that was. What started as a bit of banter turned into an hour-long conversation until finally he asked me, "Can I kiss you?" From there, everything happened fast. We were suddenly in an Uber, then in his home, then in his bed. And every moment, there was consent along the way. The pace I was used to, this like fast moving, oh, it's quick, we're making that, we're going, okay. But Fedora asking whether or not I wanted something was really new to me. Can I stick my fingers in you as deep as they will go? Are you gonna let me eat this pussy? I couldn't even focus on how good the sex was because I was so confused by the amount of consent that he was asking for. Needless to say, I'm floored. At a certain point, he has me on all fours. "Can I fuck your asshole, baby?" Now I stop and I blink because blinking is something that I do when I'm processing things. I mean, I have always wanted to try anal, but do we have lube? I'm not sure. I think about my recent anal fissure, which if you don't know what an anal fissure is, it's a cut on your butt and it can be pretty painful. And so I'm thinking to myself, yes, in theory, but like maybe today is just not the best idea. And you see, like I had a lot of sex since Dreads and his temper tantrum, but a situation hadn't really come up where I felt like I needed to say no. I tend to be pretty easygoing in the sex department. I could feel the nerves bubbling in my stomach. Oh my God. Should I just flat out say no? Should I soften the blow? Should I like soften my language? How will he respond? Like, will he get mad at me? I just met this man today. What if he flips out the same way Dreads did all those years ago? I take a deep breath and summon up just a tiny bit of courage. Not today. He leans down over me and whispers into my ear, "No worries, love." And in that moment, it feels like everything has come full circle and like a lifelong lesson has been solidified. It's okay. I can say no. I don't have to hold my breath in anxiety before I say it. I don't have to muster up courage. I don't even have to give a thought. I can just say no. And there are some people out there who will get mad about it, who will pressure me, who won't respect my boundaries. But there are others who care about what I think and ask to be clear, who will respect me as a human being with agency, even when I voice something that they don't want to hear, who will not treat my no as a source of annoyance. In this world, there exists a place where I can say no.
That was Lo, the author, everyone, with a wonderful story. You can find more about Lo and her book, To All of the Places I've Had Sex Before, at lauxtheauthor.com, which is on the screen for you right now. Thank you to all of the storytellers tonight: Regina Aikens, Tina Hine, Eric Scheuer off camera here, Nicole Perkins, I'm Reba Sparrow. Stick around for the after party, which is happening right now. Yay! jazz hands.
Yay!
Yay, everyone did such a great job. I will let Nicole take it away with the moderation there in the comments. We will pull Eric in here in a minute or two to choose, or to, I think he has chosen the winning confessions, to read what those confessions are, and we'll show you some pictures of my pregnant self in a moment here. But Nicole, what have we got going on?
Yeah, still reminding everybody that they are welcome to text in some questions or a message on the YouTube comments, some questions for our storytellers here for the after party if they want to know anything about the stories that they heard, or maybe about the individuals themselves, depending on what the storytellers want to share. I have a question, though, for Tina, something that I was thinking about listening to your story. In your relationship, going from being an open relationship to a closed relationship and then open again, was there a difference between what open looked like to you in the beginning and then the next time around?
That is such a great question. Thank you for asking that. The first time I feel like our relationship, my marriage to my husband, has had kind of like 3 iterations, and we're on the 3rd one now. And the first one was, we're children, basically. I was 15 years old, and we were swinging from like 18 until like 25, and like, I don't know how to communicate necessarily, like, and so like we had fun, but it wasn't the same. And so this time, oh holy shit. This time, it's just so much more pleasurable. I know how to advocate for myself. I know what I want, and I know how to ask for it, and I'm not afraid to. So I'm just so grateful for the journey that I'm on, and yeah, it's been a really great adventure for us, for sure.
Oh, well, thanks for elaborating more. It's always, I mean, in the story, it's great to hear the storyteller's growth for like that specific moment that we're featuring, but it's nice to hear some of the context about how else your relationship has grown, or you as a person have grown.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Regina, since this is your first time telling a story like this, and it kind of goes in line with the theme of your story itself, like trying new things, saying yes to things, how do you feel right now?
I mean, I feel good. It's my first time telling a story, so I feel like, I could have done better. But, I mean, hey, if it helps other people to open up terms to trying new things, it's definitely worth it, because my life's changed.
Yeah, there are a lot of people during your story commenting about like, is pegging trending right now? And someone else said, well, I wonder if people are just talking about it more, which might be the case. And I think that's really cool. So, you're definitely contributing to that, just talking about things and being open about it. And all of you, like, sharing your experiences. That's what we're trying to do here is, not expose, that's what I was about to say, is expose you. It's for other people to hear what's going on, since sex is such a taboo subject still. Yeah. So it's nice to hear everyone's perspectives and experiences.
Can I just say, I didn't get to chime in after everybody's individual stories, so I'll just say now, like, how amazing it was to hear all of your stories and all the hard work that you put into it, and you're all fantastic. You did fantastic. I hope you get a chance to look at the comments afterwards and see what people had said. They're all still here listening right now. For those who don't know, like, we work very carefully with our storytellers to develop their stories, but all their stories come from the seed of what they originally wanted to tell. And it takes a lot of vulnerability and commitment to put something like this together. And I'll speak on behalf of both of us. We're just so proud of you all. So Tina, Lo, Regina, fantastic. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. Yeah. I'm here to tell of the winners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of the confessions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I see in the chat some people are saying hi everybody. Hey Nico and hey Angie and everybody.
Yeah, and we'll want to hear from Lo too in a moment.
Yeah. Okay. So the winners that we've chosen for our for our giveaway.
Chosen at random, folks.
Let's see.
I don't even know how you do that. How do you do that? You just close your eyes and point?
There's a number generator. It's
Number
not.
generator.
It's not.
Okay.
It's nerdy. Okay, so
So-
this.
For this plus Dirty Lola.
Yes. So for that plus Dirty Lola, we have this one. After a Princess Bride themed wedding at a winery.
Yes.
I, the best man and the best wench, nice, ran into the dark oak forest and performed fertile rites. The next day I had, and performed fertile rites. You know, like pagan, sexy fertile rites. I had a poison oak rash on my ass, and she had them on her feet and ankles.
No! Which is worse?
What I like about that is if you take the logistics of it, like a blueprint, poison oak on his ass and then on her ankles and feet.
Right.
You know the positions. You can paint yourself a mental picture.
Well, congratulations. You have won a Clone-A-WILLY kit, chocolates, and an hour Q&A with Dirty Lola. We will text the winners back and figure out how to get this.
We'll get all your information from you. Absolutely. And the winner of the Fun Factory and Missionary chocolate prize package is this. One of my male partners fucked me off the side of the bed.
Oh, wow.
But it was so close to both of us orgasming that I told him to keep going. Even though I was halfway off the bed, I basically got stuck between the bed and the wall.
Between a rock and a hard appendage.
You can keep on massaging that, make it work.
It didn't work out.
That's all
It didn't
right.
work out.
So we'll get in touch with you about winning the Fun Factory and the chocolates. Congratulations to both of you, and thank you to everybody who's also contributing in the super chats. Dawn and Corey and Adam. That really means so much to us and to help keep the show going.
Yes, thank you so much. We want to hear from Lo too, and then I want to show my pregnancy pictures.
I was gonna say, speaking of keeping things going, we have everybody here. So Lo, I know you and I have talked about this a bit, and Revan, we talked about this guy who was so. First of all, the consent that you talked about with this guy in the story, I think was so amazing because I think we hear a lot about consent, and a lot of times it's like overplayed to be like, oh, so I have to ask about every single thing now? Doesn't that just slow sex down and just make it not sexy? May I kiss you? May I touch your shoulder? May I touch your side? And the way this guy did it and the way that you portrayed it was so sensual and wonderful. It like basically gives a new model for consent, and it makes me want to like hand this guy an award and basically say like, this guy wins everything. And
it was very hot. It was ooh.
And if you're comfortable saying
that award, if he can win.
Yeah. So if you're comfortable,
I mean, it's a good reminder, sorry, just interjecting. It's a good reminder that like dirty talk and consent can really, overlap and become one.
And I don't think we hear about. It's the first time I've ever came across that concept.
Oh, interesting, because I wanted to say this the whole time during coaching, but it didn't really come up until now. It reminded me of a class I took at Shebop, and I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor of ours. I genuinely endorse them because they're awesome. I think it was like I can't remember if it was like Kink 101, or maybe it was like a dirty talk class or something like that. But it was talking about just that, like how to be sexy and ask consent at the same time, saying things like, do you like that? And do you want more of that? Like, that's sexy to me, but it's also asking permission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that type of thing is being taught. Check out Shebop.
Yeah. But Lo, I know that one of my favorite things about getting to do these virtual after parties is there's always more to the story. So as much as I love this guy, can you tell us anything else about what happened later?
Yeah. So Fedora, when things happen really quickly for me, when they burn and become a fire, oftentimes the fire comes out very quickly as well. So it's a nice little peak and valley, very quick. And so maybe a couple months later, quite a few dates in, we were back at his place and we were having copious amounts of sex. It was lovely. And he's a very communicative person, but in the middle of sex, like at a moment where we were taking a break, he starts off this conversation by telling me that racism does not exist. And so he won the consent and communication. Well, I don't know about all the communication, but like the beginning of that battle, but he did not win the war. It's a very awkward conversation. Like I just want my orgasm, not to talk about you thinking that racism doesn't exist.
I think it's awesome that you were able to cherry pick what you wanted out of that, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, you ultimately told a really positive story.
Yeah,
that's like a life lesson.
Interesting place.
I mean, it is. I feel like a life lesson. We do get to choose what we want to take from things. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it when you were telling the story, and with that bit of info, like the whole fedora inside, like just it paints a different picture of a person. And that's the thing about storytelling is like we do have to cherry pick, because Reva and I say this in our sessions all the time, that we don't live our lives in story format. Like, our lives are messy. Lives have tendrils going all over the place. We have somebody who's amazing on one hand and then kind of questionable on another hand. But for the sake of a story, for the sake of hearing an experience and gaining empathy, like, stories are focused in that way.
Yeah, it's about what perspective. Like, the same story could be told a million different ways from a million different perspectives.
Yeah. Nicole, were there any other...
the joy of that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Cool. I'm curious if you all have story questions for each other, or anything else you were like, oh, I meant to say this in my story, or anything. Yeah, Tina.
I just wanted to say to Regina, I loved her story for so many reasons, of course, but I also loved it for something that I learned for myself. And that was when you were describing Sean's orgasm and the movement that he was doing. And when I heard you first say that the first time, I was like, oh, because I've experienced that and I didn't understand it, and it's not something that's easy to Google, and and so I wanted to say thank you for sharing that, because it helped me to feel a little bit better about some of my experiences. So
yeah, that's I did forget to say that's when I learned, though, that men do have these spots kind of like women, and I didn't know that at all. So when that happened, I'm thinking that something's wrong, and I'm rushing to his aid and screwed that whole thing up for him. But he took it like a champ. We worked it out. So
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's
thank you,
time.
Regina.
Eric just asked me when I wanted to put my pregnancy pictures up. So I dug, like I said, in the garage today and found these pregnancy pictures. And then I was like, oh, do I really want people to see this? So this was like 16 years ago, and I look vastly different, but that's okay. That's all right. So there are 3 pictures that we'll put up on the screen. One is of two are of Thanksgiving Day. My parents are with me in one of the pictures, but their faces are blurred out, or actually there's pumpkins over their
Put
faces.
them up now.
Yeah, you can put it up now, and I'll
So there
tell
we
you
are.
what it is. So there's me stirring something. Gravy? I don't know. I remember putting on that apron, going like, oh, I should just wear this apron because it's the only thing comfortable that I still own. And then there's me in the hospital in my hospital gown after contractions had actually started. So pre-contractions and then post-sex contractions. Did anybody else know about this? I saw a couple people in the chats be like, duh, oxytocin. I had no idea. Do people know about this?
I learned something today.
I had learned about that, but I had never heard of castor oil, so that's a different one for sure.
Well, it doesn't
The
work.
castor oil surprised me also.
I drank the casserole too.
What was that, Regina?
I said I drank the castor oil. I was 2 weeks overdue with my son, and I drank the castor oil. I went on walks, long walks. It was, and he still wouldn't come. It's like,
Wow, they let you go 2 weeks. I was told after 10 days it gets dangerous.
well, this was 29, almost 30 years ago. So, they did things different back then. But yeah, I walked. My husband rode behind me in the car. That was sweet of him. That was,
Nice.
but
I do want to say on a slightly different subject, just for everybody that's still tuned in. It's so wonderful to have listeners from all over the globe. This is specifically sent out to our American listeners because, as you might know, we're in the middle of an election season right now. Please, if you haven't already, vote. Wherever you are, we are not endorsing one candidate or ballot measure over another. Take advantage of the voting process. Vote. We have this URL up on screen, vote411.org. I'm somebody who's pretty new to voting and recognizing that it can make a difference. So I think I didn't even know before the previous election that you could vote for more than just, who you want to be president. The ballot has all kinds of things on it. Sorry if I'm saying stuff that is like super, super basic 101, but I didn't know this. So if there's anybody else who didn't know this, like people who are in your county running for city council or for sheriff or for judges, you get to make these choices, and local government can sometimes change things in people's lives a lot more and a lot quicker than the federal government can. There's also ballot measures, and if you want to know what's on your ballot, that's what the URL on the screen is, vote411.org. We're not affiliated with them. It's just something that we found that is super, super useful. You go there, you put in your address, and it says, here's who's on your ballot. It explains things really easy, because that's the other thing about voting that at least has been my experience, is that it's a little confusing and complicated, and I don't quite know what's going on or who to vote for or what anything means. And I think we could all use some help straightening things out, and that's a website that we found that really helps do that. So please vote, whatever you want your life and your country to look like. It can look like that if you cast your ballot. So please do that. Okay, end of my little stump speech.
Hashtag voting is sexy.
Yes.
See, I tied it in.
Well, that's what you do. You do that best.
Yeah, I tied that in. So as we mentioned, or as I mentioned before, this is our last live stream show of the year, and we'll be coming back. Storytelling show. We'll be coming back for Valentine's Day, and in the interim, we do have a podcast now. I think we're 8 episodes in.
Mm-hmm. Something. Yeah.
Right?
Almost. Yeah. 7 or 8.
Yeah, they're really easy and fun listens because we just feature one story per episode, and you can find that wherever you find your podcast. It's just called the Mystery Box Show Podcast, and then we've got something up our sleeves for like November-ish that's coming to you. It won't be a traditional storytelling show like this. It'll be something else, sex.
Stay tuned to our
themed.
website or sign up to our newsletter on the website, and you'll find out all about it. Yeah. I still want to give any focus to the storytellers, because it's so rare that we get a chance to put everybody in front of folks. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or anything else that any of the stories tonight brought up for you? Not to put you on the spot.
It was really valuable to hear you all's stories, and I feel like I've learned so much. So thank you all for sharing.
Yeah.
Super thrilled that we have these opportunities to talk. One of the things I learned is that I've learned in my studies now, I suppose, is that isolation is a real cock blocker to orgasms. And so when people start talking, when people start communicating, it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right. Well, is that a wrap?
I think so. We are going to take ourselves off the live stream now. Of course, the storytellers will all have a moment afterwards, and we'll share everybody's thoughts.
Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. This replay will be available on YouTube for you to watch. Check out our Patreon, check out our website. Thank you for being here. Check out our podcast. There's so much content. Hang out with it.
So many sexy stories to share.
Yeah, and keep on, if you want to text in your confessions all night long, please do. Like we said, we have confession corner videos up on this YouTube channel, so your confession could end up on one of those videos as well, anonymously.
Yeah. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you all again. We love doing this, and we can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Okay. Are we
And
off?
we are